address behavior. I'll try to make it bigger. Yep.
Meeting, planning commission order. 2022.
Yes, please. I'll do the roll call. Broker?
Here.
Crawford?
Here.
Fox?
Here.
Gardner?
Here.
Gaunt?
Here.
Hereford?
Here.
And Steve Mans is excused. By voice vote. I have a few corrections. On number 5, business, there's a weird partial sentence in there that has to come out. The planning commission opened the public hearing and then to close the public hearing. And the planning commission, that partial sentence should come out. I don't know if you can see it on number 5. Yeah. And then on the 8th, somewhere here, it says we met at 10 p.m. and it should be 10 a.m., although 10 p.m. might be a fun meeting in another venue, but I don't know if anybody has any other corrections other than that.
With those changes on those.
Voice vote. Got him. Voice vote.
Those in favor? Yes. Motion passes.
I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. This thing is kind of noisy. Yes, so sometimes I can't hear you if you don't speak up a little bit, so.
Open the meeting for the comment from the public. Reminder that it's a limit of 3 minutes. And we'll begin any comments by identifying yourself and the city of residence. Anyone?
I'm not seeing any raised hands.
All right, we'll close public comment. We have no old business and under new business. We have a first officer, the election officer for the planning commission. I know process is established process.
We can, somebody can nominate you. And then we, yes, that somebody can nominate anyone.
What offices,
We have chair and vice chair.
I would nominate William Fox for chair.
We had an empty vice chair seat, so we did just recently do a vice chair, but
So the term for chair would be for candidate.
yes.
I would nominate it doesn't seem like it's been a year.
It's been a very weird year.
Well, we just did that very, the vice chair, we just did that very.
Yes, it was a partial term. So if you don't have any more nominations,
Is he willing to do that?
So
we have a nomination for a chair
Yeah.
and a nomination for a vice chair. Is there any more nominations? None? Then you can call the vote. Yes, we still have to vote. You can just do a voice vote.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
You're off at 3:30. It is a change. And then we move into the second part of the business, which is to adopt, at least discuss and then adopt a list of priorities, action plans, and whatever else is. This is a wide open. Feel free to suggest anything you consider. We will eventually, I will sort of eventually administrative comment that we're talking about Saturday, trying to keep the major attention items list probably fewer than 4 is a good, I think it's a good maybe 3.
Well, what we had,
Remember more than 3, so I don't expect.
we had 4 that were identified. Continued improvement of the zoning code. Master plan development review up for review in 26. Increased citizen participation in the planning process. And I did flesh some of these out a little bit. And identify planning commissioner education and training opportunities. And that one we've done a pretty good job on.
I almost wonder whether that being the case, whether it's worth leaving that. I think it's kind of, to me, it's sort of cheating, you put up a goal that you've already achieved. I know the reason for doing that when somebody was paying you. but-
It's implemented to do it, right? Jeff Fox, would, just suggest that we stay for that. Council last meeting. It's hard, it's always difficult to tell if council buys into it or if they're just simply not listening. It's difficult to tell. And no disrespect against council, but I did mention it before that we were going to discuss it at the meeting. There was no opposition or discussion. It did ask directly for them to think about some policy statements and something that they would like to see the planning commission. Nothing has been suggested to me. I don't know.
I haven't heard anything. I haven't-
So, yeah, I think that it's our. So, support that council at the appropriate time. I think 4 goals make sense, and I don't think that would be, especially also goal 4, I think it would be mentioned goal 4 is probably already.
I would say it's at least half done,
Yeah,
because I can continue to look for other training possibilities or opportunities. I know there was one about increasing citizen participation, and that seems to have disappeared from that website, but I will continue to look for opportunities for training. And when you don't have to go to Lansing and stay overnight, they can be Zoom trainings because it's not a legislative body. So I will keep that in mind when I'm looking, or if there's nearby places that are doing it. Historic District did some training in Kalamazoo, and that worked out very well.
The one on citizen, increasing citizen participation in the process. One of the items I remember cited as falling under that was Russ's suggestion some time ago related to the notices on.
Yep, I put that on there on goal number 3, additional signage for projects under review. And the citizen master planner classes, I put under goal number 4. And I put 4 things that I'm looking at trying to get done. And one is housekeeping. There's some little errors in emissions that need to be taken care of. For example, under special land use for restaurants, it doesn't say which setbacks apply. It's not a big deal, but it's something that needs to be cleaned up. Marinas and waterfront construction has been a challenge since I started working here. But there are different parts of the zoning ordinance that conflict with each other. In fact, we have one that's going to Zoning Board of Appeals next meeting. That would be the second Thursday of February. Because a person wants to put 2 docks. And the ordinance says 1 dock per parcel. Well, he owns 2 parcels. So the Zoning Board of Appeals is either going to have to make an interpretation or consider the request for a variance. And those sections really need cleanup. They come from different parts of the zoning ordinance. They don't always match up. So that's something I would like to get taken under control. And parcels that are in 2 zone districts. Our ordinance is completely silent on that. I have one particular parcel that's It's not large, but big enough that half of it lies in the zone district that requires a minimum lot size of 8,712 square feet. And the other half lies in the zone district that the minimum lot area is 2 acres. And it's like half and half. So it's not, nobody's pressuring me that they want to build on it right now, but it's going to come up. And we really need to have a policy to take care of it. Or an ordinance amendment to take care of it. Some cities say whichever is the least restrictive applies to it all. Some say wherever the most restrictive is applies to the whole parcel. And some give a percentage. And some say whichever part of the land is over 50% in that zone district, then that zone district applies. So if there's more in the small zone district, then they have to go with the small. If there's more in the big, they go with the big. So that's one that I want to get taken care of. And vacating streets. I know we talked about this about maybe 2 years ago. I think that's how long it's been on my desk. But the policy for vacating streets right now requires sign off on all the adjoining property owners. And sometimes that is not good. It's not in the best interest of the city. If they can, council would want, if council wanted to vacate a street because of maintenance or whatever reason, they could propose it without sign off on all the parties. And then it would go to planning commission for review to see if it was in the best interest of the citizens of the city or not. And then make a recommendation back to council that, yes, we have reviewed this and we think the street should be vacated. It happens like maybe once a year, but it's kind of a big deal for some people. So I'd like to get that off my desk and moving again. But other than that, those were my things. And I think that our plan tonight was kind of to flesh this out a little bit more and maybe not necessarily adopt all the details, but adopt the major goals. And then identify other things that, and we don't have to do it all today either. As we go into the year, just identify some other things that, hey, we should take care of this.
Is there a concern of starting too many initiatives about finishing things that have been on your desk for 2 years? I mean, honestly, when I heard it 4, they're big, and these things are all 3 that I can think of that have been around for a while. I don't know how we're going to do them and do it well.
We don't have to do them all at once. This is a 2-year project list. If I don't know what else to call it, I don't know, action plan.
Wonder if it might make sense to try and tackle them really. I'm trying to tackle one. And in response, that would be focused on what to present and what would keep us from having 3-hour planning.
Yeah, I would suggest, I'm still working on the R1 front yard setback thing. That's gonna take me a while, and I didn't plan to be here, so I didn't start working on it. But I think that if we do the easy ones first, I mean, I don't think anybody's gonna have any trouble with the housekeeping stuff. That's gonna be a simple, I just highlight what I know. And if you come across something that you think should be part of housekeeping, take a look at that. And then the parcels in the 2 zone districts, that also should be debated and discussed, but that shouldn't be too difficult. We just have to decide what you want to do, and I'll give you a couple options and the pros and the cons of each one. And then the vacating streets, that ordinance has been prepared by our former city attorney, and it's sitting on my desk, just waiting to go into discussion and get adopted. Marinas and waterfront, that's going to take a little bit of study. That might take more than one meeting. But I don't know if you have other things you want to add to this list, or.
I'm not sure the things, I don't know, so I don't know if there are things that I have on the list that would mingle with what you're talking about here, which is basically stuff that you either have in by also in various states and stuff here, just as notes, things to be cleaned up. So, as I say, I don't know that I would have anything to add. I would always say, through Richard, let's start knocking them off. I mean, if there's a hearing programs, let's go. Let's take a look at it.
Well,
read it and
what-
your opinions, give it to the city council, let them do what they do. Not one of them.
One way to help that is to put dates on your objectives. And I can do that. Put the dates and who's responsible to do the work. And most of it's gonna be me, so I don't want to be scrambling at the last minute trying to get stuff ready for you when even though I've had the thing for vacating streets on my desk for 2 years, I probably haven't read it in a year. So I would still want to be able to have a chance to read it and sound intelligent when I talk to you about it.
Well, I think if we have a goal dealing with one such issue, minimum per meeting, at whatever stage it happens, someone pretty old, just chit chat kind of stuff. One of those per meeting, 10 or 12 meetings, should be clear.
Hear the duck?
Over that time. And I don't, as I say, I don't think we can both of those. Probably for sure, we're always strain you, and I think it just strains the whole system. So, I mean, and I'm willing, we can talk about priorities, or I'd be perfectly happy to have a set of priorities. I'd say, my goal in setting the priorities would be to get stuff that's closest to finish up first. So that's the street end ordinance, which also sounds to me like it potentially is the strongest thing you have in front that we have in front of us sooner than later.
Can I make a question?
Yes, please.
As we've been talking, we had others about doing that. Like that, it's not effectively in the law. Right. My thought process on this, and Cindy, thank you very much for getting started on this, is getting to put together a principle, a very simple strategy that people involved. And I mentioned maybe using the SMART methodology to convince them, which includes a time bound, which you expect to have this meeting for next week. And the first step in that is to just identify any additional ones that we might have that city has like to buy. Those are things that are on her table, so to speak. We've not heard anything back from council at that point, so it's on us. And then everything that the commissioners might have to suggest to add to this. And then at that point, we can use the SMART methodology to say, okay, how specific is it? And we just kind of start to work with it. And then, start to actually flush this out. So it's measurable, achievable, go along the SMART methodology. So my thought was tonight was to at least get a start out. I mean, the sky's the limit, how many you want to put, I think it's sensitive to this, that the more we put there, the more that is becomes corners for city staff, especially if we ask that they do all the work. I'm a big proponent of having a commission and council too, is you can have some work. And if I just continually ask the city staff to do the work. Yes, it's a page and they're here to support us, but I really feel like this is a push commission. And so I do have some, I like this responsibility of helping get things started, assisting this big city to develop it. So that's how I thought to start to talk about what other additional things I can think of tonight that can put out in each one of these goals. And then just begin to start the process. Start to flush it out. So we've been talking about that, we're going to go off the worksheet, let's see. Before I advance on goal one, housekeeping commercial districts, doing is a waterfront construction, partially with two zone districts, vacated streets, and we expand our four. Right?
Yeah.
That's kind of, I don't know, starting with that, maybe the rest of the. List of things that she knows we're going to have to start thinking about. What's going to be valuable, well, timeline too. So maybe we just start listing those over there and so forth. Which I think is going to be fairly light. I think the first two roles are probably there. Once we get to that point, then I think we can talk about what's most important to doing. It's easy. So that's what you said. So if we want to go back to goal one, is there some other items that the commissioners think of when we say the goal is to continue to improve? I think, okay.
I live in that code, so those are just some things that as I'm processing applications or working on things that come to my mind that, something got deleted that wasn't supposed to be deleted. Or something got left out when we adopted another ordinance, we didn't cover it. There's a couple of places like that I just happened to, when I opened my book, I thought they'd jump out at me.
I actually don't know. This is a big one. And that as we find what we're talking about in the.
Well, yeah, that was my idea. That's why we had it a 2-year plan instead of a 1-year plan, right?
Yeah. One thing that just come to mind that we mentioned Cindy is I would like to see this development of spirit including the zoning code. Is adding some portion of language with definition. I think we can start to see, and obviously with the historic district, that's a whole different level of view. However, a lot of properties are that within the historic district that probably get acknowledged because people obviously living with this property today. So I think that's just something to, and I'm not sure how much it was, but adding some time the demolition process, the demolition permit process. And I would sort of with the city to say, is that something that is important from a zoning standpoint for a single economic plan, or is that not for the larger, I don't know, is it not out of
I don't think it's common in a zoning ordinance to have that. It's very common in a historic district to have that process and that review. I would have to do a little research and see what other places do about demolition.
What would be
The goal.
what's the concern, what potential? Correct. I mean, I you can think of lots of problems, lots of other things, but if it's somebody, certainly all stuff related to setbacks and the rest of it. Nuisance to neighbors.
But what got me thinking about is that, but then also too, is that the property would be acknowledged that had a potential impact of neighbors. Foundation issue, this issue. Has it ever been a problem? Something to be concerned about? If it's not anybody else's radar, I'm onto this. I'm not trying to create something like this.
We've done a lot. We've done a lot over the last 4 years to streamline what needs to be approved by the planning commission. For example, if we had something being built in the critical dunes, then it would come to planning commission for review. Well, that's really quite heavily regulated by Eagle. And we don't have any other standards than what Eagle has. So why do it twice for the same thing?
That's almost everything I've ever said of the roof.
Yeah, it is.
Certainly I would request it.
And there were some land division things that came to the planning commission, but they really didn't have any other standards than what the minimum was in the zoning ordinance. So I can count how many square feet it is. I don't need you to come and tell me how many square feet it is. So we made that an administrative review and approval.
You know, say on the neighbors, neighbors,
That's covered under the building code.
neighbors, you also have, there's applicable legal.
Mhm.
Where they come in and get into the foundation. Pretty easy to do. It's called what policy they can throw down.
And the building code does address that. So I don't know that we've had any trouble with demolition. A lot of times we get additions that are more problematic than a demolition, but I don't know. If you think of something, if you can kind of articulate what you're trying to get at,
I will.
then it will make it easier for me to try to craft something. Some of these that require zoning amendments will have to go to legal for review, so I might not get one every meeting, but I can sure try.
Well, even if you get a gap, if there are things farther downstream, it just could use 15 minutes of chat amongst the commission. As a sort of prequel to whatever.
Right. And really, your biggest responsibility besides the master plan is making decisions on things that come before you. So if we had 3 applications at one meeting, we could push back the other thing. I don't know, those are just some of my ideas about workload and what, you know, you're supposed to your job is to react to what somebody gives you. Does it meet the standards or not? And if it meets the standards, you have to approve it. If it doesn't meet the standards, you have to deny it. So
Do you have any outside of people that I want design standards, in terms of, it's something that we've always been doing to get into, but in terms of compatibility of design or something that might be a equivalent character. You hear all that? I hear a little of that.
I do hear a little of it. It's something to certainly consider, but it's really similar to what we did in the R4 and the R1. You know, you meet the character of the neighborhood by lining up with your neighbors. That enhances that, and that's one of the design standards that they used in Holland. And I can pull that down. Plagiarism, in college is discouraged, but in local government, it's encouraged. So,
And also, I mean, not to be, not to do.
Well, we've discussed it in times past, and many years ago. That, and the conclusion we always came to was, we don't necessarily want a cookie cutter type place or artificial type place like, just a tribal or some of the exclusive of the has all the Christmas stuff.
yeah, Franklin,
And, you know, that we always thought actually, we thought it was regular. And it's sort of interesting though, and everybody has different, you know, everybody has different tastes, completely different, absolutely different.
And no one likes to be told,
And nobody,
how their taste falls short of some standard.
I guess it's just sort of luck of the draw, if you are a Victorian design. And somebody, I look with interest, for instance, on Maple Street, this, very modern, the design next to, both of them rather than beautiful houses. Much more expensive, probably like it, you know, one of them very traditional type of the design, and one is very modern type of the design. And that's just thought, always has been. Just for the same thing in our square footage, we wanted to be so restrictive so that you couldn't have a time next to it. But anyway, I just wondered, I guess I wouldn't be too much in favor of changing the way you go with but I would just be interested in this is echoed by other people.
yeah, I've heard it mostly in communities that are well built out, like Saugatuck is. And you're maybe infilling a vacant lot that's been vacant forever. And the neighbors say, oh, no, you can't build a house there. That's where we dump our dead grass. And my neighbors put up a fence and now my kids can't play in their backyard anymore. So I could, so I've heard it before. I have not heard it very much here at all. So,
Also think it's, I'm trying to imagine some of the characters.
yeah,
But in this community is highly valued in the arts.
mhm.
I think when you start to weigh in on, you know,
Well, you don't want to stifle anybody's creativity. But you-
and to the point of, I know it got approved. I remember it got approved when they were building adjacent to Good Goods. An entirely.
was it what?
For the fire.
Oh,
Pretty bad. And so that, whatever structure that one was down, and they had an open spot. And they were proposing to build, I think it was going to be retail, but the design was, you know, as modern as the Black House out there by the river, you know, come off the bridge, everybody's modern as that. And the historical commission, if I'm recalling correctly, I think they had approved it because it didn't violate, you know, they didn't have standards that related to them keep a modern new structure.
right. In fact, the guidelines do say that it can resemble a historic structure or it can be completely modern and contemporary. It's right in the guidelines.
I almost wonder how effective, I mean, if someone goes to create Frankenmuth with all Victorian, I don't practically that in this town, that's going to be with a lot of sentence. I'm sure there's always going to be a case where somebody wishes to maybe do this to their house and not that. That's not going to be pervasive. We're going to tell people. Doesn't think about new construction. Or, taste.
Just a question as we're talking about this, because it relates to something I was thinking about with some of the other items that I don't know much about, specifically like, you know, the housekeeping edits and things like that. Is there procedurally a way to do like basic, you know, kind of a working meeting, I'll call it, for lack of a better word, you know, on some of these topics, and then, you know, not having you prepare an actual, you know, line edits to the code and go through all that work where we talk about the topics. I don't know, just throwing that as an idea that would help facilitate some of these.
Depending on the stage of, you know, evolution, the discussion is how far compressed it is moved from ideas to ordinance change and whatever. The ones I've experienced, they start much like, you know, Cindy say, look, we've got this problem, this house, and you're not lined up. The thinking and lining up this, that's actually, this is the portal, it doesn't have to be map to show that we are. That's fine, but it can start purely as a discussion, you know, what do we think, without causing you hours and hours and hours of preparation. And it's worthwhile. So I think the answer, my extent to the answer is absolutely, that's the way it sort of should. It shouldn't get here, you know, the street end one is sort of interesting. We haven't talked about street ends ever in my mind, maybe once.
Just in the vacating of the streets. If it's a street end, you have to have a court order to do it. If it's a street end that is within 25 meters of a body of water, you can't do it. Only a court order can do it. So, you know, we still have to play within the rules.
But I can't imagine there would be a case where city would come to us with an ordinance proposal change. However, without some kind of discussion of that
Yeah.
before that meeting.
Okay.
I'm trying to be sensitive to that. You know, surprised and sort of feel like they're against the wall and casting something in stone. Never how interesting and seeing the street and things. I think that in specific cases, I think that they're contentious, even contentious with the council. I would be very surprised if the council doesn't think they have the ability to decide the street and they should have that vote. I don't know.
There's a lot of platted lots, platted subdivisions that were drawn by a Philadelphia architect without seeing what the actual topography is. So we have paper streets, I call them paper streets because they exist only on paper. There's no pavement or utilities in them that are on a hill or straight up a hill that cannot possibly be developed as streets. The engineering doesn't support it. And what happens then is the city is responsible for taking care of that property. If there's a dead tree that falls down, the city has to take care of it. If the adjacent property owners are interested in having those streets vacated, and there's a good reason, then it should just be some criteria that we look at and say, yes, we can recommend to council. We've looked at the area. It makes sense to vacate this street and let them make the final call, because they always do. When we took the quiz, they're the ones that adopt everything or don't adopt everything. And we've had a couple things where the planning commission and the city council did not agree on. One was the marijuana. And one was not allowing single-family residents in commercial zone districts. That kind of law blew up in our face, in my face. Because I was the one who said, you should not take up your commercial zone districts with a single-family residential house. That's reserved for commercial. And that really blew up big time. So, okay, yeah. Yeah, yeah, I did give you a little homework assignment, and I left my master plan downstairs, so I'm not gonna give you a quiz or a test or anything on it, but it is good to look at that master plan, and just, even if you just familiarize yourself with the table of contents, just to see what's in it, what it actually consists of. And we are gonna be coming up to 2026. That's not that far away. It sounds like it is, but it's really in a local government arena.
I wanted to ask you, if we can switch to
Yep.
master plan chat. Does that fall, I mean, another planning commission general responsibility? But is, in the past, is that been subcommittee out for development? Because, and again, this was, I don't know, the Richard was involved back in the day. I haven't seen that process happen.
The way it's been done in the,
It seemingly is an absolute ton.
there's usually been in the tri-communities master plan, a firm who specializes in planning and zoning that is engaged to assist. And it consists of many, many meetings, many public hearings. It has to be approved by all 3 municipalities. And there are joint planning commission meetings with the other communities. And it has kind of consisted of representatives of this planning commission, not the entire planning commission necessarily. And they're, yeah, it's a position that's still on the books. It's the Joint Planning Commission Study Session or some name like that. They would work with the hired planner to set up the public hearings and get that all taken care of. But there were representatives that were on it. But ultimately, the full planning commission was involved. It had Kate McPullen was on it.
But it seems to be loose on, a little loose on procedure.
It's a process that your hired planner will assist with.
Because it makes sense, for example, to have us approach to hire that firm. Because if we leave it to the other jurisdictions, they may not get around to that. And
The township is fully on board. Douglas is also, I spoke to them about a joint training. And they said, oh, that's a great idea because we're going to be working on the master plan pretty quick and we should get to know one another. And so I think they're fully on board as well. It's just good practice to involve them. And it helps shares the cost of the planner, because that's not that cheap to hire a firm or a planning consultant. I mean, the one that we have, David Jurasik, he's $125 an hour, and you're going to spend a lot of hours on this project. So you want to spread that cost out over the 3 jurisdictions rather than just eat it. So
does it make sense for the planning without the recommendation to the city council? The city budget
Yes, yes,
a
that,
significant sum over the next 3 years on an annual basis. So I want to get this thing moving because I know what it's going to look like if we don't.
mhm.
And it's going to be catch as catch can at the end, but honestly, I read some of that and what I read in those chapters. People just, somebody at the end not paying attention, on somebody else throw this in, throw that in, or whatever.
Here's the title. You just get title.
Yeah, no, you go fine, whatever, put it in, get this thing over with, so that we can post it. So, I mean, I'd be willing even this evening to entertain a motion that asks, just if you're gonna have to get a dollar or something, but I want to get it on the city council's radar, because we can't fund it.
No. No, you have no funding power here.
So, the sooner we get it in, we make it process for it.
Mhm.
Or it becomes the rest of our.
And I can, frankly, use just my personal bias, so I don't know that, right? But I think this is because the process is laborious and long. People do get tired, and at the end, I think they're just so happy to have time. They walk away and don't pay any attention to it. And I can tell you it's an important piece of support. You can do it because we are connected, intersected, and decisions that one may affect all of us. So I really think that the approach needs to be such that we don't get tired. It's smart. And people are engaged.
If I got a complaint about what is there now, it's that you won't find anyone in any of these three communities who is even the first and 5% of what's in that. It's just too much to absorb. And I doubt I'm worried that this won't come to pass this way. But if that thing could be, to deal with all the topics, the major topics that it needs to deal with, everything, environmental, housing, whatever, but do it in a far more focused, without putting clauses on everything, and a lot of the stuff in there is how-to stuff that they should never done, because that should be left to the process moving forward as to how things get done. But in terms of commitment to, the easy stuff, the waterfront, the historical stuff, what have you, those should be crystal clear in there. It should be able to get a wide agreement, and share. I mean, share the whole thing.
Well,
Yes, it is. It's true.
I agree.
And I'm afraid that's what you'll get with a consultant. The consultant doesn't get properly appointed.
Well, I mean, we have a consultant.
True. True.
So it's up to us in terms of what the fact is. We have.
Yeah, no, I'm all there. I'd much rather have it be it's a lot of work to go through to come up with something that nobody pays any attention to. Pretty much what we've got.
They only pay attention to it when something bad happens.
Right. Or boards and rocks.
Exactly. And I the only thing I disagree with, as I'm not a few people, they're not many, but there are a few people who know this. And there are.
No, I know. I remember well how they got ambushed. So,
Yeah.
well, I mean, it's just anecdotal, but it's hard not to read that part of that document that deals with consolidation, government consolidation, and come away with anything but, well, these communities are getting ready to consolidate. Guess what? They're not, at least as of when it happened. They're so far away from it, and it was defeated roundly and debated violently at times, and what happened.
how about this suggestion that one of these next upcoming meetings in the next 3 to 6 months, that I invite David Jurassic, our consultant, to come back and talk about the process.
That'd be great. And we can kind of figure it out.
Yeah, my question, make sure we vote for it. I think maybe we should.
Did he do this one?
No. This last one was done based on an older one that was done by a firm. Yeah, that was Williams and Works, I think, that did that.
Well, I don't know this gentleman, but.
Well, he knows the process.
this work just isn't- It's not so.
He did express to me that there were some parts of our master plan that were either too overly broad or not enough direction.
Right.
So he knows the process. It doesn't mean he's the one that we have to hire, but he could just talk about what happens during a master plan development.
Well, I think, the greatest, we will have the greatest impact at the beginning. What we wordsmithing at the end, whether we chose this topic to be included or studied or part of it, whatever. And I don't mean just we, I mean the 3 jurisdictions represented, that they can agree that, on the notions of simplicity, on general notions of major areas to be included, or the demography and the stuff in the appendices and whatever. It's going to be what it's going to be, but the directive stuff. Now's the time where that group should sit together, not just throw it over and then go, when you come back with something. No. These are the things we amongst ourselves think are important and want to address. And this is how we want to go about it. And this is what we want to avoid in terms of, like, in terms of just consultants speak nonsense language that, it's paid by the rule or something.
I mean, obviously, the qualifications are important. So is the style of the presentation, and that would be my comment about this. It's just.
But our consultant, the one we have right now wasn't involved.
No, he was not.
Okay.
He would be, he's an independent thinker.
The value I can see up front is having someone who knows the process, hear these kinds of criticisms and respond to them. Okay, we believe that, so how does that impact, not impact, influence the process from your perspective? Is it able, are we able to, can the process embrace that, can it respond to that, so on and so forth? That would be helpful to have, like to hear from somebody who is understanding the process. I get it. So that kind of all too, that kind of balance that. One of the goals now is engage consultant to do the idea approach, you call it.
Educate.
Engage consultant to dialogue with the plan, strategic dialogue with the plan.
I wouldn't say that we have to hire David to be the consultant. It would just be for him to review how a master plan is put together, what is involved in it. We also have Lene Wells, who worked for Williams and Works, now employed by the township. So they already have one of the best planners in the whole state. She's won several awards, and she went out independent on her own from Williams and Works. And township was lucky enough to be in the market at the same time she was starting her firm, and we snagged her in. So they've got great staff over there that really knows planning. And she and David know each other, and they both have a lot of respect for one another. I don't know, I think if we just had him in It's nice to hear it from another point of view, somebody from the outside.
I think that's a real idea.
Okay, so like in the next 3 to 6 months,
Just personally, I'd like, not just 6 months.
okay,
I was gonna say, there's three meetings.
2 to 4 months. He has to be available, it's kind of,
So how would you describe this? Extremely possible, and then sort of engage consultant to, or maybe you want to really another way to try to capture.
to review master plan process.
Engage consultant to review. Master plan process.
Other advantage,
To inaugurate the process. I mean, or they understand it's. Inaugurate, how about that? I mean, that, the process begins when we start talking about it, and that's when we start seriously talking about it, as opposed to starting one step forward. And letting the council know that. I would let the council know that, I would also let the council know that in relatively short order, we hope to move to a relationship with some consultant
Mhm.
on this process, and that has a price tag attached to it
yeah.
that they're gonna have to fund, so they're, if they're gonna put a number in, they need to know that as they think about the budget and whatever.
It's a very good time because the budget process is going to start in March.
You do have a little bit of time, so if we get the advice of the gentleman that we're talking about, and then the commission should probably do an interview process to get through the proposals
Mhm.
and see who we feel most comfortable with, who gets what we're trying to accomplish, and gets it succinctly, then we can make a recommendation, which then will.
But remember too.
We have to work with the other.
I don't know.
I agree, but I think that we could lead that process of getting two or three people identified and then open it up.
Is, do I understand correctly, the person you're talking about, township staff is experienced in this?
Very, very experienced.
We can get this guy to start the process of chatting.
Yeah, because she works for the township and I'm the township supervisor, it might be a conflict with just Lene. But if she's the representative of the township who's involved, that would be great.
Well, for this, try this. If we get him. Ask her to be a guest of the planning commission, he's here, so she will under the comments without them being pointed.
Yeah, I just don't want to be, it's kind of an awkward situation.
Cindy, question about kind of, because I was listening to what Richard said, which I think is a good idea, but is there a formal process that we have to follow for the meeting of the homes?
He's already on board.
Oh,
David
I
is.
think that, yes, I mean, if we went broader.
Yeah, when we go broader, there will be,
Formal, you know, proposal.
Yeah,
process.
it will be yeah, it will be either an RFQ or an RFP. And he can tell us. A big advantage of having somebody like David is I look at our master plan and that's all. David has done and seen master plans for dozens of different communities. And that's why hearing it from somebody like that is better than hearing it from me.
I think it would be a great education for us.
So 2 to 4 months, I will get on the phone with David and see if he can't commit. I know he felt so bad about not being able to join our meeting on Saturday, but
I'll do this tomorrow.
he's a great guy, so.
So I got a schedule consultant. to start that. Then when we want to. and just try to- so
I think we need- I
Get
think,
this into a smart format so we can allow.
I'd like to target that from ideally in the next 2 months.
for having David, yes. And then for the RFP or the RFQ, we need to have some kind of a joint meeting with the other two
Yes.
municipalities.
The first meeting with them, whatever from that comes, whatever interaction we need to have with Douglas and the township. So we-
Township's very ready.
So we go to Douglas.
Maybe just the chairman meet. Because if you get too big of a group, you don't get anything done.
So the purpose of that meeting would be to,
So to talk about who's gonna prepare the RFP, is the city gonna do it? Is Douglas gonna do it? Township?
I mean,
How are they gonna do it? Are we gonna do it with a joint meeting? Are we gonna do it with chairman?
and I wanted to hear the critiques of what we've got.
Yes,
And that we're not, maybe just maybe not just a different place, but Douglas.
township is
And I don't think-
chomping at the bit.
Honestly, the only time you hear anybody mention the master plan, is when they want to bring it out and tell you head for their own use. So that to me is not a great, that's not a great time.
Right,
So I think as much as I truly do want to hear the details of how the process goes together and how we're going to arrange to get a, look at multiple consultants and so forth. If, should, in the event that it should be this guy, or even if it isn't, I'd like him to hear our, criticisms of what's in place now and respond to them. I mean, to say, I don't know, no, but it's gotta be in language, it's gotta be in that horrible, boring, government speak language, because that's how we do it. Well, whatever, however he's gonna respond, or no, that's great, so we kind of know where the playing field is and what part we're playing.
Would it be fair to say that we could have that meeting? If we try and have this meeting with the consultant just across at the end of this. Yeah, I would think that to have a meeting with the township and, that was probably the next.
yeah, I was saying that Q3 2022, develops like somebody gonna get.
Effective variable, and then to select to interview and select by the end of the year, that's pretty good.
consultant,
Interview and I guess recommend, or recommend.
yeah.
We're trying to jump things forward to that meeting. They could have the township person.
That's great.
And someone from Douglas. The sooner the joint mentality develops, the better. If it drops down into, well, that's the township, them, or Douglas is them, then you're in trouble for the different.
No, yeah, that's right. I mean, one of the issues is that, the city leaders, really, once it gets done, it's on the shelf, and, until we find places to we really don't picture it. And I would encourage us, to put that, it helps when we can get to know one another, rather than just the chairman meeting. I think it's really important to look at that and get to know one another, so that it becomes common for us to think that this is, if there's an issue at all, somebody can say it's, let's look at the plan.
I think it'd be a great invitation.
So I've got 3 goals and then for that, some time out. I'll start to add some additional information because based on conversations, this is exactly, this is perfect. This is what I was envisioning of doing the commission, put this down to this stuff. Usually go back to council, easily before, and they will think, keep us on track. That is Bob's on the court roll, so she said, consultants come in, they land like a bomb. We go to trade work, they make a report, they run the next client, and then say they go on the shelf and to us. I did a big of that, so I know exactly where that comes from. If we follow something like this, people manage that, it's very simple. People won't follow that track, Do our best not to do that.
senior planning consultant explained himself, the risk and the nature of the whole deal in all of these townships and villages and cities of Michigan is that most of them don't have a lot of expertise in these areas. Most of them want to get a 3-ring binder that they can stick on the shelf and never look at it again. And it's just something I gotta do because the state says I gotta have it, all those things, whatever. And if that's the character of the marketplace, that's a dream for a consultant. It's an absolute dream for a consultant, because they will hand you basically what they've done with, copy changes here and there to customize it. But it's not gonna be what we're talking about here. It's just not. So I really want to do this guy respond to what Richard said about his criticisms of what he wrote.
Most everybody is going to the citizen planner product workshop. They have one of their modules that is focused on master plan. So maybe we do it right after that module, because
It's just a-
yeah, it's gonna come up, and then,
It's a module, and it's not a separate.
no, it's not a separate module. It's one of the chapters that you'll be looking at one of those weeks. And if I can find out which week that is, and I can, that's not a problem. Schedule David right after that.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Maybe I don't know how to begin to talk to him now, but that's locked in.
It's what his job is. It's what he does. He knows how to do it. He knows how to do it in different communities, in different places, different laws for townships and different laws for cities, different laws for villages. And he probably has some tips and tricks, because that's what he does for a living. He also acts as a zoning consultant for smaller municipalities. So he might work one day a week in, I don't know, Bedford, or one day a week in some other small.
This was not the same guy who was on.
It was the same guy that was at the Butler meeting. And when I told him that how many of you were not at the Butler meeting, that you weren't on board yet, he was kind of like, oh.
So can you remind me who's actually registered? Something to
Dan Fox.
Steve
Steve just did it. Steve just did it, and today, Richard Crawford decided to do it as well. So. I want to say February 22. But it's sometimes toward the end of February.
It starts the 15th.
The 15th?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, you kept yours.
21st, would say, March.
And they got our emails.
Yes.
But they're good.
I received something back from them already. I'm not sure what it was. We had 2 3-day work weeks in a row. And then we got a snowstorm and we had snow days, and it's been hard to get caught back up, and I'm supposed to be on vacation, so I get yelled at when I walk into the building.
We'll go back to the first one of the items that you listed. I'm gonna call the same. Could you walk through quickly some of the, just basically some housekeeping commercial issues?
To eliminate inconsistencies,
So, housekeeping commercial districts, to eliminate inconsistencies.
There was one section that was completely dropped out of the zoning ordinance during codification that we need to put back in.
So, motion to pull that drop. Pull that drop. Right.
There is a section in the code that's about fences.
About fences.
And then there's another section in the code about fences and they don't match. So that, it would be that kind of a thing. Fencing,
Liens and waterfront construction.
that's just a big mishmash of different sections of the code that don't always refer to each other and they don't always match. It's another inconsistency. And does it say what we want it to say? Actually, the honest truth is, why do we only allow one dock? This is the guy who's applying for the variance and the interpretation. Is that still reasonable? Or was it at the time that it was put in there reasonable at that time, but circumstances have changed enough that we don't think it's appropriate anymore? I mean, that's the kind of stuff that should be addressed. And it should be discussed and debated. And Dan thinks it's good and Russ thinks it's bad and Bobby thinks it's good and Ann thinks it's bad. Well, then talk about it, figure it out, you know, work as a group to get an answer and not just let Cindy be hanging off the edge, trying to explain to somebody why it's in the ordinance when I don't know.
Parcels and 2 zone districts.
That's the one where you have a big property and it's split right down the middle. This half is really small lot size and this half is 2 acres. What rule, what should apply? How should we address that? How can we come to a compromise in what's going to be allowed on that property?
The specific parcel in mind.
Mhm. And one is a big one. The other ones are small, so. And they have similar regulations. We have a lot of zone districts.
Yeah, that was something else too. We wanted
The separate one?
Yeah, I would say personally.
Yeah, we have 2 zone districts that have almost exactly the same permitted uses, the same permitted special land uses, the same setbacks. The only thing that's different between them is the minimum lot size. Come on. Come on.
Possibly adding other ones. You know, one thing I was thinking about with I know we have a draft ordinance with vacating streets. I actually incidentally had a vacated alley next to my property. It was vacated right before I bought my home. So I've done extensive research. Actually, just wrote that for very personal reason on vacation of alleys and rights of way in Michigan. And if we might want to take a broader look at that issue with our new council, because my understanding of what happens when you vacate an alley is a little different from I think how the city has approached it in the past. So based on all the research I've done, substantive property rights aren't conferred to abutting homeowners of the vacated alley under Michigan state law.
So it's great we have an expert here on that.
Well, I'm not an expert. I love research, it's very personal, so I don't know, that's why I think we should go to real experts that.
Land of the blind, the blind man is king.
I know enough to know that it's a trickier to interpret statute from what I've learned than it seems to be on its face.
Yeah, and we do have to take everything to legal, so they can put their blessing on it or caution us that that's not how it works. Just because that's the way we've always done it, doesn't mean that's the way we have to do it from here on out.
So while we're talking about the vacated streets, how do you want to flesh out that? I don't want to be a little bit more specific about that. How will we-
Adopt an ordinance or adopt a policy for vacating streets. The thing we have now is a policy. And I think I did a little research on it and I went to the city of Ypsilanti and looked at their ordinance. And I sent it to Sluggett and Bloom. They had looked it over. They said, this is a great policy. I love that the planning commission gets to weigh in on it because it's now an assigned duty to the planning commission, or it would be. So if we could adopt an ordinance,
So all of these basically deal with, the process, investigation, discussion. debate,
and that would be,
proposals.
that would not be a zoning ordinance, that would be a police powers ordinance. So it's a little bit outside of what you normally would be doing, but it's just an opportunity for the planning commission to get to have some comment on it before it goes to city council to get approved or not approved.
And each, I would think almost every one of these would have at least one public hearing.
Yes,
So in terms of going right off, now we can choose. Something. Having multiples of these.
Would you want to set some, that point, would you want to set some time, kind of just general, what we did for the other goal, to say that, like, we can't street lights, it sounds like that's in the past. We just have to be brought to the discussion, and then doing whatever we want to do with the language, like it's sent about recommendation to council. Is that a one meeting process, is that two meeting process? Is that a
since it's not a zoning ordinance, the planning commission does not have to have a public hearing. When it's a police powers ordinance, we don't really get to usually have any say in that. But what you really be saying is, this is a police powers ordinance that council has to council has to make the decision. And we want to offer our opinion that because it refers to the planning commission, that we're in support of, or we're not in support of.
Russell, I mean, we'll see. Maybe the same thing, 20% generally down through the before. I don't know if we can be specific about this, but actually list one,
Yeah, I think it's a working process. I'm just trying to get the general flavor of what we're trying to accomplish here. Because it's, I'm already starting to think of other things. Richard comments earlier, guys, and some other things from the policy standpoint, that we should be discussing. So that's what really we're going to do. We've got extensive way to be able to share this back to the city and share the plan. You guys can have it. I have no pride whatsoever, so feel free to mark it up. Hope I send this out one or whatever case may be. I want this to be a new document. So, yeah, so then the point, what I would do is, my first step there will be start now to, fill out the specific, the SMART goals, so if we got more of that, the specificity, the specific, the valuable, achievable. It's not going to be lengthy, it's going to be this. The brief that I can make is. I think it is important for us to get to that point of actually adopting the foundation council. Consider it. Because we mentioned earlier, there are no questions about this. Okay, I just want to make sure that we don't move into areas of council saying, wait, we're going to do that. I just think I hear that council's going to be go for it. Go for it. And this might get them, might get their creative pieces going too. So.
I don't honestly think we can anything wrong. We should have that with this. If we chose to.
Well, meetings that we don't have any applications, we usually just don't have a meeting. But now we have good reason to have meetings when we don't have any applications. And I will make it high on my priority list. Well, I've got 6 applications on my desk right now. So you will be having an application next month. It will be about expanding a restaurant.
Even when we have applications, we should be having one or two of these.
I agree, but when we don't have an application, then we can
If we don't have-
focus.
That's not-
Yeah, I would say the local on the streets and others, is probably something that. probably should look at.
Okay. Well, I think Russ is taking his homework very seriously.
We're grateful.
I am grateful. Which reminds me, Anne, Peter is still waiting for your check. A blank check or a blank deposit,
Yeah,
so
yeah. I'm sure, so you need to figure out what you've got the form.
if you just give him a deposit
Oh,
slip.
yeah, well, there's a form, I guess.
I think you already filled out the form.
Look at that one form, but they couldn't do it online. but that's-
Oh, okay. Well,
But I can
just talk to Peter, just call him and see what he wants.
So, I'm sorry. No, no, one of them.
The third Thursday,
So for vacant, they want to put, we do that.
May I ask if the new attorney would do that before? Okay.
And I'm happy to send around like a short article I have on that bigger issue I mentioned. The only reason I raised it is bigger policy may be affected by what actually flows from the Hampton Valleys.
that would be great.
Yeah, planning process. So. You know.
I don't know. I just know who their zoning administrator is. I don't know all their boards and commissions, but yeah, we need to not work in a vacuum from them. Yeah,
Absolutely will blow up. That's part of the consolidation. So it's giving us we call it a shop.
okay, so Ross is going to work on his chart or whatever it is. I'm going to work on David and try to line that up with the same time that you do your master plan chapter out of the citizen planner. And I'm going to work on getting vacating streets and alleys on the agenda for next month. And since we don't have to have a public hearing, that makes it easier for me. Because of the zoning enabling act, I have to notice everything out 15 days before the meeting. And because our newspaper only publishes once a month, and it's 14 days before our public hearing, I need an extra week to get that to the newspaper. So that's some of the stuff that slows it down, when it's not just that I'm being reluctant or I'm being lazy. We have to comply with the state law, so.
You know, I did, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for taking the time. I mean, we're 2.5 hour meeting now, and yeah, you're gonna go back to, if I can make this work. Back to our agenda. Communications, there are none. Reports of officers and committees. We're still in the process of getting those. And then back to public comments. Yes, yes.
But before that, we'll open public comment, 3 minutes comments from the public. Come on out there, present yourself, identify yourself, with the raised hand up on Zoom. Speak up, close the door. Place the residence. On screen. Are the public comments of the board who will comment and now provide anything, questions or comments? Oh, thanks for misplaced the confidence. So with that, I adjourn the meeting and we have a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:28, 8:29, 8 o'clock. 8:30.
Thank you.
So there's going to be an actual application we'll look at next month? Or we don't?
Yes, we have an application for next month.
Okay,
It's for expansion of a restaurant.
okay.
So we will have to have a public hearing on that. I think I got it to the paper already.
Okay.
It's not gonna get done, it's not gonna get canceled.
The 25th, so.
New York Times is 20 February, March.
For all of them. Have a good evening.
Thank you.